Meanwhile, I wish we didn't have this story to tell you about, but it's absolutely true. It took place in Rockville, Maryland, and it was happening in a high school where a 14-year-old reportedly was raped by two students here illegally, came here illegally, one 18, one 17.
There's the 18-year-old.
And they were in ninth grade classes because that was their...
Because they don't speak good English.
Yeah, they don't speak good English, and we don't know about their learning curve. But I'll tell you what, there's some outrage in that community. You can understand why.
Well, you can understand. I just saw on the email machine, I got a note from a 30-year veteran teacher in Montgomery County down there, which is, keep in mind, this particular suburb is just north. It's the northern suburb of Washington, D.C. This 30-year vet in the teaching system down there says that it is not unusual to have a 21-year-old man in the same classroom with a 13-year-old girl. They see it every single day. And that just brings up the question. These two young men, obviously in this country illegally, one from El Salvador, the other from Guatemala. The guy from Guatemala, apparently, within the last 9 months or so, was stopped at the Texas border by ICE agents and Border Patrol. And you know what? During the Obama administration, they did what they did. They caught him and released him and said, okay, we're going to write you up, go see a judge, we'll let you know when. Of course, he disappeared until last Thursday when he allegedly raped that woman.
Well, as a parent, when you drop your child off, you know, that's our job as parents, to protect our kids. When you drop them off at school, you expect for them to keep your child's safety in mind, too.
That is what we are paying for.
Absolutely. And you know how Donald Trump has said we don't want the borders to be open? We can't just welcome in anyone. Well, this is an area that's discussing whether or not they want their city to be a sanctuary city. Some people in the state want the state to be a sanctuary state. The superintendent is saying he has to open his doors to everybody. Listen.
We are a public school system, and we serve all of our students when they come to us. And when we look at that, it is not only the right thing to do and the good thing to do, and it benefits the students and our community and our state, it's also the law of the land.
Back to 1982, that was the law of the land, a landmark decision. If there's a kid in your town, you got to give him free school. And I just want to quote this quote from Jessica Vaughn. She's director of policy studies in Washington, D.C. She says there's a huge surge of Central American kids in this area. It's become a significant problem in many of the school districts because a lot of them have very little money anyway. The teachers have taken money out of their pockets anyway for school supplies. And now you have more kids who don't speak English taken away from your kids who in many cases do.
Well, last night I was watching Sean Hannity's show, and he had two of the angel moms. The angel moms are women who were with Donald Trump on the campaign trail because they lost one of their children to an illegal immigrant. Laura Wilkerson, she's been on our show too. Her son Joshua was brutally killed by an illegal immigrant. Listen to what she said about this.
That girl is going to do something for the rest of her life. She will never be the same. And I'm sure the two kids that came over were undocumented children by themselves. You cannot mix the cultures and some of the things together and have it mesh. It's not working. They need to be out. They're criminal for being here in this country in the first place, and they need to be gone.
Laura,
this voice program that he's putting together needs to come quickly.
Speaking of quickly, 4 days after this alleged rape, the Maryland House of Delegates passed legislation to make it a sanctuary state, which would give additional protections to people in the country illegally, harder to deport. And of course, you couldn't ask about the immigration status, which you just can't do. Mark Stein was on with us about a half an hour ago. He said this is all part of a system in this country that is busted.
I think this is the depravity of the political class. They're basically willing to offer up their own citizens, 14-year-old schoolgirls, and sacrifice them on the altar of diversity and virtue signaling and the shameless political posturing. There is no benefit to the citizens and legal residents of the United States in fetishizing mass illegal immigration. And shame on this county and the state of Maryland for going along with it. This is a corrupt, broken system of which lawful citizens and residents of this country are the victims.
Well, the angel mom, when we played that bite, she was basically saying you can't expect them to come here in high school or middle school and assimilate correctly. She's saying that has to be difficult, not only on the Americans that are dying at the hands of illegal immigrants, but also for these illegal immigrants. She's saying it's not fair to all of them. He also had another angel mom on last night that was holding the urn of her son. His ashes were in that urn. She held it up and she said no mother should ever hold the urn of their child.
Well, listen, there's criminals here, we get it, but why are we importing other criminals
Our
to wreak
resources
havoc?
are going to these illegal immigrants.
And these stats from 2015, 820,000 of the estimated 11 illegals here are convicted criminals, and 75% of the drug trafficking convictions are from illegal immigrants.
Sure.
That, according to the 2015 stats. Meanwhile, ABC, NBC, and CBS knew all that and did no coverage at all.
That does not even, this is a news story. For them not to report on that baffles me. And also, what about the child? They care more about their narrative and not making it sound like illegal immigrants are doing anything wrong in this country. What about the child? They have a responsibility to that child and to that American family to report that.
And of course, this is one of the reasons why Donald Trump won the nomination on the Republican side, because he said he was going to do something about this to stop the system the way it is. Well, let's hope that they do
something
about that, because what happened down in Rockville is just disgusting and so sad.
And the other thing he was elected to do is to repeal and replace Obamacare. But right now, there's a lot of peril and a lot of intrigue going on because Paul Ryan's plan has been changed at least four significant ways over the last week. It's got his fourth committee to pass, that is the Rules Committee, and tomorrow will be the vote. When it comes to New York City's liberal mayor, Mayor de Blasio, putting a deep freeze on ICE agents. Bill de Blasio now preparing city schools to resist the law, teaching employees what to do if agents show up, holding workshops for parents. The mayor says ICE won't be allowed inside unless they have a warrant. And if you want to help build a wall in between Mexico and the U.S., then you won't be building anything else in Berkeley, California. Berkeley council members unanimously voted to ban businesses from city contracts. Other cities are now also considering shunning President Trump-friendly companies just because they bid on the right to build a wall. Unbelievable. Hi, Ainsley.
Hi, Brian. Parents in Rockville, Maryland, outraged after the assault of a 14-year-old girl inside the bathroom of a high school in Rockville. Listen.
I know that if this country enforced the laws that are already on the books, those two young men would not have been here, and this rape, this horrendous rape, would not have occurred.
I'm really outraged by the situation in Montgomery County. I'm a lifelong resident.
They're just, come in. You're 20 years old, come on in. Go to high school with a 14-year-old.
Her alleged attackers, fellow students, one of them an 18-year-old illegal immigrant. There's his picture. All of this as the city considers becoming a sanctuary city. So is the city putting its legal residents, its American citizens at risk? Here to debate this is the Director of Policy Studies at the Center for Immigration Studies, Jessica Vaughn, and immigration attorney Francisco Hernandez. Thank you both for being with us. Glad to be here.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. Jessica, I'll start with you. Who's to blame for this? What happened to this 14-year-old girl?
This is fallout from the Obama administration's catch and release policies. They literally spent billions of taxpayer dollars resettling more than 100,000 unaccompanied minors and families who came from Central America into communities all over the country that have had to absorb this population, and it's causing a lot of problems.
So you blame the Obama administration?
For the schools yeah, this is the fallout from that policy.
Okay. Francisco, the child's name, the alleged attacker, he's 18 years old. As she was saying, the catch and release program, ICE caught this kid and released him back into the community. We heard one of those moms say that this would not have even happened if the law had been enforced. What do you say about it, Francisco?
Well, the shame of it is that we're taking a tragedy, using it for political gain. Sanctuary cities or not, there is no such thing, but it would not have prevented it, and he wasn't the only person that participated in it.
What do you mean there's no such thing as a sanctuary city? There are.
They don't exist. You can call yourself, I can call myself Brad Pitt. It doesn't mean Angelina Jolie's trying to get to me.
How can you say that?
There is no such thing. They cannot oppose the federal government.
How can you say that? There's a sanctuary city in California where Kate Steinle's killer was and had been deported, I think it was 5 times. He lived in a sanctuary city.
A city cannot keep ICE from coming in and arresting somebody, taking them. It doesn't exist. It's just a political phantom. Everybody's afraid of it, but nobody can touch it. Nobody can see it. You cannot oppose ICE from coming in and arresting and taking somebody away. It can't happen.
Jessica, he says they don't exist. Do you agree?
No, that's completely wrong. There are about 300 jurisdictions in this country that have policies that are deliberately hindering immigration enforcement.
And they, what are you saying, these policies can keep the federal government from coming in?
No, but they are deliberately hindering immigration enforcement by releasing criminal aliens. And in just 1 week in February, ICE found more than 200 people who had been released by sanctuary jurisdictions, including someone who had been accused, charged with homicide in Philadelphia. That's how they find them.
Why didn't they pick them up from the jail?
Because the jails have policies, or are forced to have policies by political leaders, that prohibit them from cooperating with ICE, and so they release individuals even though they know that ICE is trying to take custody of them, and unfortunately many of them go on to reoffend.
Francisco, what would you say? You're defending these illegal immigrants. What would you say if you were standing in front of the mother of this 14-year-old? How do you defend them then?
I am not defending anybody. I'm just saying no jail or city policy can trump the federal government.
Okay,
ICE has preemption powers that can pick up anybody they want anytime they want.
What would you say to this mother of this 14-year-old young girl? Her life is changed forever.
It is. It's awful.
Who do you blame for it?
And we're using it for political advantage. Even this channel, the politicians, Donald Trump is doing it. What happened with President Trump saying, I'm going to fix this the first 30 days I'm as president? What happened to his 10-point plan?
He tried to do that.
Why are we looking at Congress? Why aren't we acting?
He tried to do that. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals stepped in. The liberal judges stepped in and stopped him.
No, that was under a travel deal. I'm talking about the immigration reform he talked about. There's not a single proposal in Congress for his 10-point plan. I came on this channel and said, you know what? I may not like the whole 10-point plan, but it's good enough. Let's go. Where is it?
Okay, Jessica, what do you say to that?
Let's look at Congress.
Well, the Trump administration has already taken steps to address this problem. They've ended the catch and release program. They've said that they're going to start dealing with this influx of asylum seekers and people from Central America at the border.
Fair enough.
They're moving immigration judges into that area to deal with these cases. They've stepped up interior enforcement and allowed ICE officers to enforce the law as it's written rather than restricting them to a narrow set of priorities. So they've already made good on a lot of the promises that were made during the campaign, and we're already seeing an effect. We're seeing
all of that was policies that were put in last president. That's not right.
No, that's not true.
That's absolutely inaccurate. Absolutely inaccurate. In order to hire all these people, you have to get the money from Congress, and Congress hasn't acted. All of this are policies and actions that began before. Remember, President Obama deported 2.5 million aliens.
It doesn't take any more money to allow ICE officers to do their job and to enforce the law as it's written.
Jessica, Francisco, we'll leave it at that. The bottom line is they're all illegal immigrants. They're here illegally. If the laws had not been broken, these individuals would still be alive. These angel moms, they would still have their kids. And then this little girl, her life would be totally different. This 14-year-old would have a normal life going forward. Thank you both for being with us. We appreciate this.
Thank you.